Hello everybody, welcome back to the part 2 of our Python tutorial series for absolute beginners. In the last tutorial, we talked about introduction to programming language, the introduction to Python programming language, installation of a Python interpreter, and we programmed the Hello World program, though without explanation of what was actually going on. In this tutorial, we are going to talk about the print function, what are values and variables, and the input function. What a function is might not be clear to you for now. We'll have a lot of videos in the future of what functions are and how to create them. But before then, just know a function is kind of like a mini program inside a program, more of like a sub-program, and they perform a particular task. Python provides some built-in functions already, two of which we'll be talking about in this tutorial is the print and the input function. The great thing about the built-in function is that you only need to know the task they perform, not how they perform it. You don't actually need to know how they perform a particular task before you use them. But if you are the inquisitive type, you are likely to want to find out how they perform a task, but most times it's not usually necessary. In the first tutorial, we talked about the basic instruction and the basic operation of every program. In Python, the print function is the instruction to perform the operation of output. It basically displays, or as the function name implies, print things to the screen. If we run this Hello World program we wrote in the last tutorial, the Python interpreter we installed reads through it and determines what each word means. When it sees this word print, it knows that's an instruction to print something to the screen. But what is it going to print? It's going to print the value inside this print function, which is Hello World. It can be anything. If we run this now, we have Hello World. It can be anything. It can be Ahmad. It can even be a number. So we are going to have our 3. The Python, when it sees the word print, it knows I'm supposed to print something. Then what's it actually going to print? It's going to print the value it gives the function. And in this case, we are giving it a 3, so it's going to print 3 to the screen. So if we give it Hello World like you see earlier, it's going to print Hello World to the screen. Also, we can use multiple print function in a program at once. Like if we want to print 10 Hello World, we are going to use 10 different print functions, though there's a better way to do that. But for now, let's just have our word. So to print 10 Hello World now, let's copy and paste these 10 times. Let's just copy this 5 and paste. This is 10 Hello World. If we run this now, we're going to have 10 Hello World in the screen. So if you notice that this quote is not part of the output, so the quotes only mark the beginning of the Hello World and the end. So this Hello World here is actually called a string, and all string has these quotation marks. When we printed 3 the other time, there was no quotation mark because that was the number. If we run this, we are going to have only 3 to the screen, the 3 right here. Also, the print function can have multiple values, like let's say for example my name is Ahmad. We can have multiple values to a print function which are separated by comma. So when we print this to the screen, the Python is going to separate them with a single space. If we run this now, we are going to have my name is Ahmad. If you notice, there's a single space between my name and is, and a single space between is and Ahmad. Python is going to separate them with a single space by default, but we can specify what we actually want to separate them with. There's no limit to the numbers of values you can pass to the print function. You can pass as much value as necessary to the screen. If you notice, when we run this my name is Ahmad the other time, the 3 values were separated with a single space. Is separated from Ahmad with a single space. Is separated from my name with a single space. We can specify what we want to separate these 3 values with by passing a sep operator or a sep optional argument the print function takes. The sep takes in a value of a string. It can be anything. It can be a single dash. In that case, my name is separated from is with a single dash. Is separated from Ahmad with a single dash. We can pass in a full stop. In that case, my name is separated from is with a full stop. Ahmad separated from is with a full stop. We can pass in anything to the sep or sep argument. We can pass in a number. So we are going to have 5 separating these 3 values. We can even pass in a sentence, like if you have okay, I am okay. In that case, the 3 values are going to be separated with I am okay. This is where my name ends. This is where it starts. I am okay separating it through, and also is and Ahmad. I am okay separating it. So there you can pass in just anything to the SEP operator. Another optional argument we can pass to the print function is the end argument. Let's see how this works. Let's have another print function here. I am 19 years. If we print this to the screen now, you notice that the second print function advances to the next line. In order to prevent this from advancing to the next line, we can pass in an end argument to this one. The end argument, just like the SEP argument, takes in a value of a string, and we can just pass in anything here, maybe a plus. In that case, I am 19 is not advancing to the next line again, but the first print function is separated from the second print function with a plus. So, and just like the SEP operator, we can pass in maybe even a number. So now the first print function is getting separated from the second print function with a number. What's actually happening here is that if you notice in the print function, my name is separated from is with the value we pass to the SEP operator or the SEP argument. So here we have 3 different values in a single print. And here we have 2 print functions, and both of them are getting separated with the end argument we pass to the first one. So we can just say why the SEP separate the values in the same print function, the end separate the values in the different print function. By default, the end operator is given this value. That's called a new line value. That's causing it to advance through the new line. We can choose to give it a new one. In that case, we are going to have them on the same value, separated with the value we give the end function. Now let's talk about values and variables. A value is one of the basic things a program works with, like letters or number, and they are what we have been passing to the print function since. The ones we've seen so far are the letters and which are called the string, and the numbers. We can also have let's comment this out. In order to comment a line in the program, you just pass in this symbol. Python is going to ignore these 2 lines here whenever we pass in this symbol. We can have other values like decimal, which is called a float. We have 3.5. We can have a number, print 3. And we can have a boolean value, which is true or false. We can have true. When we print this 3 to the screen, we can now just, so we have 3.5, 3, and true. These are the different values you can have. The ones we have been seeing so far is a string, and if you notice, this 3 does not have a quotation mark, unlike the strings that we've seen so far. This is an integer, this is a float, and this is a bool value. More explanation on these different values will be given in the future. One of the most powerful features of a programming language is the ability to manipulate variable. A variable is a name that is assigned to a value. A variable labels a memory cell where values can be stored. So to understand better what a variable is, let's consider this animation. The squares models a memory block. Name is a variable name and Ahmad is a value. Ahmad takes up a position in the memory. Then the variable name labels the memory cell. It serves as a reference to the memory address, and anytime we need a value in the address, which is Ahmad, we call it variable name, which is name. The value a variable point to might change during the time the program is running. In that case, the variable leaves the memory it is labeling and labels the new memory cell where the new value is stored. So if we pass Mustafa to bring a value to the variable name, Mustafa gets stored in a new memory cell, and the variable name now points to it and nothing points to Ahmad again. Also, multiple variables can refer to the same value. Age and number labels the same memory cell. They both have 19 as a value. Anytime we need 19, which is their value, we'll call either of them. If we increase the value of number by 1, now number now equals 20, age still remain 19. So they now point to different value. This is how variables to string and numbers or integer works. The popular analogy that is common in Python books for beginners to explain how variable works is to consider them as a bucket which values are stored, like something like this. But this analogy is technically not too correct. It hinders some understanding you might need for some concepts in the future. It is better to refer to them as a label rather than a bucket, but it's still fine for now to refer to them as buckets. So using the bucket analogy, we say a value is stored in a variable. Well, that looks simpler, right? Okay, well, let's continue using it. To store a value in a variable, you use the assignment statement, and the assignment statement is just the variable name, the equal sign, and the value. That's the assignment statement. This is the format in which all variables are written. So we are going to have our variable name here, and we are going to have an equal sign and a value. That is, we are assigning this variable name to this value. Let's consider this example. We have name Ahmad, age 19, height 6.5. But that's not actually my height though. This is just an example. So as we've seen in the animation, this is the variable name and this is the value. Also, this is the variable name and this is the value. So, and here also this is the variable name and this is the value. Variable also has a type, and its type is the type of the value it stores. For example, now this name now has a type of string because it's storing a string. This age has a type of integer because it's storing an integer, and this height has a type of float because it's storing a float. So we can have a variable can run which we can pass in it true. So true is a bool value. Then the can run we have a type of bool. So to check the type a variable is, you can use the type function, which is you can just print type name. In that case, we are going to have a string. This is class string. So if we print type age, so we have an integer here. This is short form for integer. If we print type height, we are going to have float. And if we print type can run, guess what we are going to have? Can run. So we are going to have bool. So those are the type of values we have. So we are going to explain these values more in the future videos. If you are coming from a language like C or Java, you might be surprised that we are not specifying the type when we declare the variable. So Python is type invert. It inverts the type of variable from the value we pass to the variable. The major purpose of a variable is to remember the value from one part of a program, so it can be used in another part. Instead of passing Ahmad directly to the print function, we can now pass its variable name. The variable name we are going to pass is not going to have the quotation mark because this is a variable name. When we print this now, we are going to have Ahmad here. So we can pass any of these to the print function now. So age, we have 19. The value 19 is stored in the variable age, and we use the variable name, and we use its variable name to access the value in the print function. Notice that when we are using the variable name, we don't need a quotation mark. Let's consider another example. Let's say first number is equals to 12. Second is equals to 15. Sum of the two is equals to first number plus second number. We can print the sum of the two now. When we print the that should be sum. So when we print sum of the two now, we're going to have 26. This first variable, first number, has a value of 12. Second number has a value of 14. So we access these two with their variable name, and we add them together. Then we store that inside the sum of the two. Then we pass in the sum of the two to the print function to print the sum for us. There are rules for making a variable name. The first one, a variable name can consist of small letters only and can consists of capital letters only or a mixture of both. So we can have a variable name like my name is equals to Ahmad. So we can have only small letters. If we run that, we won't have a problem. If we can have a mixture of capital letter and small letter. If we run that, we won't have a problem. And we can have full capital letters only. So if we run that, we won't have a problem. Also, a variable name can have a number, my name, true. If we run that, we are not going to have a problem. But a variable name cannot start with a number. It can only have a number in the other part of the variable name. We will start this with a number now. We are going to have an invalid syntax. So we can't have we can't start a variable name with a number. Also, you cannot have any symbol in a variable name except the underscore. So if you put in this symbol here, right? Oh, sorry. Let's put this here. If we run this, we are going to have cannot assign true operator. That's an error. So we cannot pass in a plus. That's also an error. We cannot pass in any sign except the underscore. So if you have the underscore here, we've run that, you're not going to have a problem. So the underscore can be anywhere in the variable name. It can be at the end, no problem. It can be at the middle. So that's not a problem. And can even start a variable name. Even you can use the underscore only as a variable name. Also, a variable name cannot be a Python keyword. Python keywords are reserved word in Python like true, while, false. For example, if we name this variable with true now, we are going to get a syntax error. The other Python keyword can be found here. Let's rename this back true. So the other Python keywords can be found here. These are the other Python keywords. We have false, none, true, break, class, continue, for, from. You can't name a variable with any of these. You can identify them easily because whatever ID you are using, they are going to be highlighted like this true over here. So before we leave variables, to make sure you understand what they are, let's consider this example. Let's say we have animal1 is equals to lion, animal2 is equals to tiger, animal3 is equals to, oh sorry, let's say animal1 is equals to leopard, and animal2 is equals to animal1. In the first line, we stored the lion in the animal1. In the second line, we stored tiger in animal2. And in the third line, we override the value of animal1. We are now storing leopard to animal1. So animal1 is now leopard. In the last line, we have animal2 is equals to animal1. The value of animal1 is getting stored in the animal2. We reprint animal1 1, animal2. So if we print this, we are going to have leopard. As a practice question, so try to figure out the value of xyz in this example. We have x is equals to 2, y is equals to 3, z is equals to x plus y, and x is equals to y, and y is equals to 5. Print x, y, and z. Let's talk about the input function. The input function is the input instruction that allows a Python program to perform an input operation. It allows a user of a program to give an input through the use of keyboard, and it captures whatever the user input. So let's say my name is equals to input, enter your name. This entire name is called a prompt. As the part the user says, it's more of like prompting the user to enter a name. If we run this one now, we're going to have okay, you see we have enter your name. Can just pass in this Ahmad is getting stored in the variable what's it called, my name, but we are not doing anything with it. So if we press enter now, nothing is happening. We can pass this to a print function and say print my name. If we run this again, we have enter your name, Mustafa Ahmad. If we run this now, we have Mustafa Ahmad on the screen. So the Mustafa Ahmad is stored in the variable my name. Then we pass in the variable name to the print function, and the print function print the value of the variable name. Whatever value the user passed through a print function is stored as a string. So if we print, let's say now if we print type my name, oh sorry, we forgot to close the bracket there. So if we print type my name, we have, let's say, Ahmad. You notice that's a class string. So anything we pass in through that, even if we pass in a number through it, it's going to store it as a string. So let's say we have enter your name, let's say 5. My name is not 5. That's just an example. So you can notice that's passed as a string. So sometimes it might be necessary to pass in what's it called, to pass in a number. In that case, we are going to, let's say, age we have is equals to input enter your age. This age should be an integer. In order to make it an integer, we're going to wrap this input function with an int function. This int function converts whatever we pass. It's going to convert it to a number. So if we print the true now, we have print type my name, print type age. If we run this two now, this one, the first one will be of a type string and second one will be of type int, because we've wrapped this input function with an int. So we have enter your name Ahmad, enter your age 19. So we have class string and class int. I hope you understand that. Mistakes is part of programming, and when we make mistakes, we introduce bugs to the program, and it causes it either to crash or perform things we don't expect. So while using all these functions that we've covered and everything we've covered, these are the common mistakes you are likely to make. The first one is the omission of quotation mark from the print function. For example, if we have print hello world, we are going to get an error because if we want to pass something to the print function, either pass a string or a variable name. And if you are passing a string, you have to quote it with this quotation mark. So we have our hello world there. The second mistake that you are likely to make is omission of comma when you are passing more than one value to a print function. For example, now if we have hello world welcome, this one is not going to crash your program, but it might give you an output in which you are not expecting, because you might be expecting this hello world and welcome to be separated with a single space, but if we write them like this, it's not going to separate with a single space, it's going to join them together. So we have hello world welcome. Make sure you take note of all these. The third mistakes you are likely to make is forgetting to close the bracket of any of these functions. For example, now this hello world has a true bracket or parentheses. So we have the first one, the opening bracket and the closing bracket. If we run this now, we are going to have a syntax error. To correct this error, we just have to close the brackets. We have our hello world there. This can happen with any of the functions that we've covered so far, like the the input. If you have input without closing the brackets, we are going to have an error. Always remember to close your brackets. The fourth error you are likely to make is the wrong variable name. For example, if you have a variable name message is equals to input enter your message, we have a variable name message here. If you want to pass this to a print function, if we mistakenly pass in a wrong variable name, like a message has double S, we pass a single S, that's going to be an error because there's no variable defined with this single S. If you run this one now and you type in your message, my message, have an error, name error here, name message is not defined. To correct this error, you just have to pass in the correct variable name. So if you run this on now, we have enter a message, my message, so we have the correct output now. Always remember to pass in the correct variable name. As a practice exercise, try out these two questions. You might submit your code in the comment section below. The first one, ask the user to enter a number, print out the square of the number, but use the self optional argument to print it out in full sentence that ends in a period. That's a full stop. This is a sample of the outputs that you should be expecting. So the first line should be, you should be expecting to a prompt of enter a number, then the square of the number is. So the second question, ask the user to enter a number x. Use the self optional argument to print out x, 2x, 3x, 4x, and 5x, each separated by 3 dashes, like this output below. So in this tutorial, we covered the print function and its optional argument, like the sep and the end argument. We covered what a value is and what a variable is, and we covered the input function. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and turn on the notification button to get notified of future videos. I look forward to seeing your comment and recommendations. Like or dislike this video based on what you think. Thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.